Morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sports Check on this last Monday of February 2023. And it's a day when in the news we've got the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. They're going to be holding demonstrations in the CBD. So Giles is our reporter at that event, and Chief Justice Martha Koome is going to be opening the small courts in Meru. This is at the Meru Law Court, so that's an event that we're going to be taking a look at as part of our news coverage today. And also happening today and tomorrow is that we've got the Women's Economic Forum, and the theme is getting women involved in Kenya's economic recovery. And the Public Service, Affirmative Action and Gender Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Aisha Jumwa, is going to be the chief guest. So that is happening in Nairobi today and tomorrow. And also, as usual on Sports Check, conversations around sport. We've got the Windsor Classic. This is the second event of the year, 2023, for the Kenya Amateur Golf Championship. We're going to be speaking with the captain of the Windsor Golf and Windsor Golf Hotel, Simo Dubeyish. So he's going to be joining us, and Luis Jarania, the pro at Windsor, speaking about this tournament, earning points towards the Kenya Amateur Golf Championship. But also, we're going to be having a live link coming in from Nairobi. Bernard Okumu is going to be with Box Girls Kenya. And what's the story of Box Girls? They've given us Sarah Achieng. She's one of the elite pro boxers we've got in the country. Her nickname is Angel of War. She's come through Box Girls, but it's not about the athletes they've produced. It's an impact in society. And they've received a second nomination for the Sport for Good Award at Laureus 2023. Laureus Awards, the Oscars of sport. That's all we can say. A second nomination for them, and a big story that's got to be told about the work that they are doing in the community and how they're impacting it. And, you know, some of the benefits that come with not one, but a second nomination for the Laureus Award. But we start our conversation this morning with a sport where I would say 50 years ago, Kenya was one of the top 4 nations in the world. Yes, top 4. Not athletics, not rugby, not cricket. We're talking about hockey. India and Pakistan were Kenya's peers then. But 50 years later, the sport has grown, so many changes in the laws, and for Kenya to get to that level again could take a decade. That's what everyone's hoping for. But how do you nurture that talent? And in other sport, that's where our conversation starts. In studio, we've got the managing director of the Simba Sports Academy, former Kenya international, Narinder Singh. Channa. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you.
Yes. And as we get into a conversation, remember our hashtag is Sports Check. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1. And our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. Coach, thank you for coming in here. And you know, just a story, you know, you played for Kenya 40 years ago, to be precise. And also, you know, Kenya going to the Los Angeles Olympics. That was considered a slot, the other slot for Kenya after the after the athletes and the boxers then. So let's just give a background of, you know, of your playing days and how that was.
Thank you for having me, Wahome. I was born here in Kenya, in Nairobi. Started my hockey career at Sikh Club way back in 1975, and played through for international from 79, 80 onwards up to 84. The hockey level of hockey, standards of hockey was much, much higher. We were competing with the top nations. We used to have international teams used to come here, especially India, Pakistan, and during those days we traveled quite a bit to India, Pakistan for training camps and all that. Come 84, 88, I think Kenya that was the last Olympics we did.
Yes.
And after that it has been a nosedive down. I migrated from Kenya in 99, 2000 to Canada. And after 17 years, I came back and saw the need for the youngsters to start hockey at grassroots level. Thus, gave a proposal to Sikh Club to open up a Sikh Union Sports Academy for the kids. And they took it on, and here we are today.
Well, the Sikh Union Club has got a great history around this. It's produced, great, great names. I think amongst the greatest players is
36 Olympians.
36 Olympians.
Yes.
I think. What would I say? That's a count
Yes.
that any single club would like to have. I think when it comes to team sport, what was the reception that they took it up? Because I know people like Avtar Singh, Sohal are there. What is the story?
Well, in our growing up days, we used to see Avtar, Sujit Senior, Sujit Rihal, Tulochan Channa. There's top players, and the dedication and the quality of hockey was, as you said, it was matching the world standards in those days. That's prompted us to take up hockey. And hockey, even during our primary school, we used to play hockey. There used to be tournaments, there used to be leagues. Coming to secondary schools was the same. And I still remember any foreign team, be it India, Pakistan, or Holland, or Germany, who visited here, the first game they would play as a curtain raiser was with schools and college combined. So that interest for the kids was there. And that's where the athletes come in.
All right. So here you started 2017. You come back.
Yeah.
So there you are. You start off reaching out to the youngsters now. That's where it comes.
Oh, that was a big challenge. That was a big challenge 5 years ago when I came back. I could see our A team, the Sikh Union team, which we left at the top position, and we didn't have any youngsters. We didn't have any B teams or any C teams.
Actually, for just for audience, it was known, that was the club that was known as Nairobi Simba.
Nairobi Simba.
Yes.
Yes, Nairobi Simba, and prior to that it was Sikh Union, came to Nairobi Simba. And but wherever I went, any club I went to, any institution or anything, and I would see a lot of youngsters, but none of them were playing. So that's prompted me to give them a chance to do something. And we clicked up from there, and it's been an uphill task for us to gather players. But I'm happy to say in 5 years we have about over 220 registered kids at the Simba Sports Academy.
You started off with 3.
Yes.
Let's just
Three kids. Yeah.
And what is that challenge? Because children have got this kind of peer thing and say, "Come, we've got this thing." What was the outcome?
Well, we went in a very strong way to our Sikh temples, especially, and they have been really very helpful, providing us with transport and things like that. So that's another challenge for all of them to come to Sikh Union Club and try keeping some tournaments, some festivals for them, what they look forward to as a kid. And that's how the interest and word of mouth just kept going. And till today we find new kids registered nearly every week.
We know that the Sikh Union Club, it's a private members club.
Yes.
But there, you reach out to the community. Is that history reaching out to the communities around, and how people want to be associated. The people who are there and the kids come train there for cricket and this. How have you been reaching out to the community around?
Well, with the kids, under the academy, it's free, and everyone is welcomed. As they age, and I think after 18, they are either given a choice to become sports members, or their parents become members and carry on with their career.
And this is where I like to bring in now the coaching aspect, the excitement of somebody getting the hockey stick and the kookaburra for the very first time. What's the process of now inducting a child to the sport?
Hockey, from the days when we talked about 50 years ago, what hockey was then and what hockey is today is totally different. The coaching system, the game has changed so much and it has become so fast. So we try to adopt into that and try to keep all the current, like last year we had a coach from India for 3 months at the Simba Sports Academy. And the things what we learned from him was incredible. The things it has changed so much. And, so for a new kid who comes in, the equipment is all supplied and all that. And we have around 9 coaches, not only in hockey, but cricket as well, squash, badminton.
Actually, I'll come to those other sports.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
and Willie Otieno, he's our main head coach at the academy. And the groups, the age groups which we have is under 5s, we call them the Sikh Union Kittens. And then under 10s, we call them Sikh Union Cubs. And then under 19s, we have Sikh Union Tigers and then Sikh Union A. So we have 4 teams at right now. It's a process where from grassroots level, it's taken up. Yeah.
Let's start with the simple basics of hockey, grabbing it. Because I know the very first time if a hockey stick, somebody picks up, a hockey stick, the first way they would grab, the way they would hold a hockey stick is, it's totally different. It's basically you're a right-handed person, but you're being asked to do something that is for lefties. So for a start, you could tell us about that basic, like we can see on the pictures, how they hold the stick work, the control and all that.
There is a very, whenever you hold a stick or you ask a hockey player, and majority of them will tell you, yeah, this is a right-hand hockey stick. Actually, that hockey stick is a left-hand hockey stick. The current hockey sticks, because you're controlling all with your left hand. Right hand is just there to support. So it's a lefties game. If you're a left-handed, don't hold the hockey stick the other way. Hold it, but you'll improve with that. Your left hand would be much stronger. So the basics are taught to the kids, how to hold the stick, how to move with the ball, stopping the ball, pushing the ball. Yeah. And as they mature, how to lift the ball up, how to dribble past. Some of the drills which we do through that.
You mentioned some of the basics and the evolution of the game. Yeah. I remember I played in high school, and at one point you can't play against sides from Nairobi. You see players standing and you're wondering, what's this going on here? Simple things that have changed in the sport. Maybe you could mention a series of them. When you played and what we have now.
Well, when we played, all my playing career, I played as a left wing. In those days, you could not turn around. You had to run and then turn and take a cross. You could not use the slap shots or hitting the ball the way nowadays they do. You could not lift the ball up.
Yes.
And there was offside rules on that time. The hockey game has developed such that they make it much, much quicker. Nowadays you have 4 quarters, 15 minutes each quarter.
And to play for 70 minutes, 35.
Yes, yeah. And you only had 3 substitutions. And now it's a rolling substitution. So everyone goes in for 7 minutes and you're back. But those 7 minutes you're running like, up and down. Yeah.
Now, for you to get to that level of fitness and the intensity of the game, how do you take these youngsters so that once they get the basics, controlling the ball, handling the stick, the hockey stick, all the drills, the dribbles,
right,
and understanding the rules, how do you develop them slowly from the under 5s, the under 10s, such they get used to that intensity?
Well, under 5s, the basics are been taught to them, just the basics, how to hold the stick, stop the ball, push the ball, moving with the ball. Yeah. Coming up to like under 10s, under 5s, I'm telling you, these guys are really young kindergarten kids.
Yes.
Under 10s, we always have kind of play some games with them. Different kind of games. You could passing the ball, pushing the ball, defense against the forwards, or just keeping another game amongst themselves, where they learn how to pass the. As you see, the game has changed so much, and we must have seen, if you were there at the All Africa Club Championships last week at Sikh Union Club. It's amazing. It's incredible speeds. The shots, the ball, it's traveled at such a high speed. Yeah, and so our youngsters have to be taught at this age how to compete, and we need school teams and we need other clubs to come up with 2 or second string or the third string team, so we can have a league amongst themselves. So why I'm saying under 10 is so important. If Kenya ever wants to get back into the Olympics, you're looking at 10 to 12 years from now.
So we'll be talking about at least we know
2033,
2032, the Olympics will be in Brisbane. We know 24 is in Paris, 28 is in LA. So we'll be talking Brisbane at the earliest.
At the earliest, and start concentrating on those under 10s now. Because this game has really changed, as we all know. And right now, where Kenya is, it's not in a good state. It's a pity. Where did we go wrong? Did we not invest in the kids or in our grassroots levels? Right now, the players, senior players who are playing, or in the league, national league, they've already crossed that age of 44 to 24, 25 years and above. At that time, you've passed your peak, kind of. You know, the amount of running required on these pitches nowadays. And but what to do? You don't have any youngsters coming in, so they carry on playing. Yeah, and we can see the results. Teams like Ghana, Egypt, we never lost to them. We never lost to them. You know, but today we struggle against Uganda. Yeah, so.
Well, the only sport where Uganda should give us a headache is football. Let's just say that. But when you've got, one of the things you're doing is making sure that you've got strength and conditioning, so that these players now adapt to the kind of movement that's there.
Right.
You've mentioned, for example, 25 years ago, you had to play almost like an alien, you know, doing right angle turns. So if you've got, you know, if you've got to make any movement, so how do you then? Because I've seen some little videos where how
they turn around, spin around,
such that you don't damage your ligaments.
Right.
How do you take them through this drill?
So the basic principle for our Simba Sports Academy, as I mentioned earlier, we have over nearly 220 kids. They're not all hockey players.
Yeah.
There's some cricketers, badminton, squash players. Yeah. So our main basic aim is to condition them properly, teach them how to run properly, the right footwork, flexibility, agility, strengthening, you know. So when they come to the age, and introduce them the games during that age period, but when they come to about 10 and above, they tend to, you can see somebody is more into cricket, and then we kind of push him into cricket with specialized coaches and all that. If he's more into hockey, then we take him into hockey, and then work on their fitness and agility and flexibility and all that.
And it's all dependent on this, and it's all dependent on the sport they're picking.
Yeah.
But spoken to some strength and conditioning coaches, and what they say is make this person an athlete fast.
Very true, very true, very true. Make him an athlete first, because once you get into that, your eye for the ball or your physical ability to move into any game, it's so much stronger.
What have been the little stories that are coming up with this group of 17? I mean, with what you're calling those who are in between the Cubs and Tigers.
Yeah.
What are the success stories that you're picking up?
Well, we've got. This is the first in 5 years, as I said, we opened this. Our first crop, which we harvested, I would say. It's we have 3 or 4 boys who were chosen to go for trials for under 21 Kenya, and I think 2 would make it. out of that. And these are the kids who were 14, 15 when we started, and they're 17, 18 now, within those 5 years. This is for hockey. On the other side, cricket, you must have read Sikhunin is in the finals with Swami Bappa T20.
Yes.
And Ashdeep's Kundi, he's one of our academy boys. He's 15, and he took 3 wickets of Canbies, and that's Canbies is the top team. Yeah, so the future, the talent is there. The talent is there, but it's more investment needed in that youth sector.
Oh, I'll be coming to cricket because that's another interesting story that, for Kenyan sport. In 20 years we've declined. We are now competing against Botswana and Nigeria. That's not the story we should be having. But the Sikh Union Club, one of the things they've done, and that's why, it was nominated as a venue for the Africa Club Championships. The investment in the AstroTurf, how much has it changed that from the Maram court that everyone has known for a long time?
I would say the changing of grounds in 1976 Olympics at the Montreal Olympics from grass to AstroTurf was a big setback for African countries, because that is in 76. 40 plus years ago, nearly 47 years ago. And today we have only one playable pitch. The AstroTurf, the pitch at the City Park Stadium, it needs a new carpet. The sooner the better. Playing hockey on Maram, on grass, is totally different than what is on Astro. Your basics, you're stopping the ball, you're hitting the ball, is all totally different.
And this is where I would like to bring in, because this is what we get from, I played on grass in high school, and you get to university, you're playing on Mara and grass, then you have to go play at City Park on Astro. What is it that you see when you do outreach to schools? If you're going to do a schools tournament, you find that they're playing probably on grass, or they've got the Maram pitch.
Right. At Sikhunin and the club management, they're fully very supportive. All the membership, they're all behind us to see hockey where it used to be. I won't be wrong to say if Sikhunin hockey is down, Kenyan hockey is down. So maybe because of that, we want to lift that Sikhunin hockey up, and at the same time work with Kenyan team to bring it up. So we offer our grounds to our Sikhunin, apart from the Sikhunin Academy, to the schools. Premier Academy uses our grounds. Paponi School, sometimes they use our grounds. And through the academy, try to introduce some tournaments, some leagues, if we can, for the younger age bracket.
Yes.
So they get a chance to come and play onto the Astro.
And what is a difference, in feel of surface that would really affect an elite hockey player, especially when they go to the international level where the standard is Astro?
Yeah. Well, the difference between two now, you have played on Maram and on grass. Controlling the ball was a skill.
Yes.
It was a skill. You had to move with the ball and had to bring that ball under your control and all that. But on Astro, the basic skills what you need is that stopping, pushing, hitting, scoop. And that's it. The ball's going to be right on the surface because it's a wet surface. It's not going to lift. Stopping is much easier. But passing, it has to be a long passes and hard passes. It's no more of that Indian dribble kind of thing. Yes, it is an individual skill, but it's needed. But again, they have developed so much, evolved so much. You could do a 360 turn.
Yes.
Without being called for an obstruction or anything. The defender would look like he's lost. He doesn't know. Somebody does a 360 in front of you and goes from there. So it's all individual skills, and there's a lot where you can lift the ball and tap it on your stick and move with it, provided it's not a dangerous play according to the umpires. So these are the basics what Kenya needs to work on from the age group of under 14s there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by the time they get to 15, 16, they've already learned the skills, and now the coaches have more time to work on different drills and different plays of the game.
Like one former Harambee Stars coach said, get the basics right. I don't want a player at the national team who's got no basics.
Yes.
So that I stick to tactics.
Right, yeah. So because once you could be a good player, but if you don't have those basics and you in the national squad or something, the coaches are wasting your time teaching you the basics at that time. The basics should be taught at an early stage.
All right. Now let me bring in something. It's because it's something that used to happen. You've mentioned about the Indian dribble. You know, people who would, flamboyant, be basically kind of a Lionel Messi, but in the hockey sense.
Yes.
Anyone who was good with the dribble got the nickname Singh somehow. William Okech is I think he's the most famous one. But with today's game, because I've seen it with football, where there is some intensity and people want to, it's stop, pass. How much has that game changed in terms of that technical aspect? Because I know we still love the flair. This is Africa. If it's got no flair, then it's right. It really doesn't work.
Yeah. See, when a sport evolves into such what is hockey today, the speed, the intensity at that time, you got to have some set plays. And for a team, it will follow those set plays. Wherever the coaches tell you, okay, this is the move we are going to do and this is what you're required to do. So it's a set play. Yeah, in the last 25 yards, where you're coming to a D-top or about to score, you can show your skills. You have one defender to beat or two to beat, and you've done that Indian dribble and you've gone in there. But majority of the game is just set plays. Even the converting short corners or all that.
Now let's move. You intend to have tournaments. Once you develop the players, the competitive edge comes through either leagues or tournaments. The school setup, we've got to agree, yes, it does good for the sport, but we know about one term.
That's it.
It's a term one sport.
Yeah.
But you'd like to have it played consistently.
Yes.
What's the plan to make sure that these people have that?
So what we at Sikh Union's club, the Simba Sports Academy, starting this April, we have the Vaisakhi Sports coming up,
wow, everyone waited for that tournament for
yeah, and we want to get schools involved. I've been going to some schools here up to Paponi and Hillcrest and all that, just watching kids play, and there is a lot of talent. There are lots of kids just want to be out there, but if we can scout them up, pick those kids and make a squad and say, okay guys, come and train here. We have this tournament coming up, under 14s tournament. For a kid, that's what they need. They got to have something, a small medal or a small trophy, and they'll cherish that for their life, and that will change their lifestyle. They'll get into it. But if we don't have any tournaments coming up, for instance, like Butali Sugar, that's Kenya's #1 team today.
Yes.
And they play the Kenya Hockey Union National League. I think last year they must have played maybe 18 or 19 games in a whole year.
That's probably
That's it.
The equivalent of once every 3 weeks. Should be playing twice a week.
And the difference here in the earlier on you asked me was about what's the difference when we played hockey and now. In our time, we had about 14 tournaments in 9 months season period. 14 tournaments all around the country. Yeah.
Just take us through them. Basically, let's start with the league.
We had the National League, and then we had the Nairobi Hockey League, which was played during weekdays.
Yes.
And weekends was that. Then we had the Smash Cup, Vaisakhi Cup, MRD D'Souza Cup. That was the season ender. Ujagar Singh Cup was in Kisumu. Nakuru had Kishan Singh Cup. Nyeri had Singh Cup. And in between, I think we had the Jamhuri Cup. There were about 14 tournaments. Mombasa had a tournament. So in that period of the season, 8 to 9 months, the kids, everyone had something to look forward. Every weekend there was something going on. Weekdays there were games, so it kept you out of mischief. And you were there, you know. And the seniors, Tari, Coach Tari, he is much senior to us, and you know, he kept, he still today is 84, 85, but you shake his hand, you'll come to know that this guy is a serious guy. And he molded us into that. And I'm proud to say that I'm associated with Sikh Union Club. It's my motherland, my mother club for all these years. Yeah. Thus the love for hockey and the club. When I came back 5-6 years ago, I didn't see any youngsters playing. So started this sports academy.
Let's move on. So looking at this, the other one I would like to bring in is the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association, because you've mentioned Avtar Singh Sohal, it's a Kenyan hockey legend,
yeah.
And he coaches Kamusinga.
Yeah.
The thing is, working with this, for example, in Nairobi, we've got enough schools. One of the items on any Form 1 entry list is a hockey stick. I don't know why that happens, but for years, everyone's required to have a hockey stick. That means the basic equipment is there. What's the school system in the country doing, you know, trying for outreach? Because if you've got one, what would I say, a common way of thinking when it comes to hockey, definitely the national team selection will not be a problem.
Well, as you mentioned just now, it's only played in the first term in schools.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think it's in primary schools. It's only in secondary schools. So it has to start there in primary school as well. And most of the schools in and around Sikh Union Club, within 5 to 6 kilometers radius, there are about 35 schools, and every school has a ground. Yeah.
I mentioned them. Eastleigh High School has one.
Juja Road Primary, Park Road Primary, Technical, Jamhuri, Dr. Ribeiro, Oshul, all primary schools. There are quite a number of primary schools in Juja Road, Pangani area. Pangani girls, they had 2 grounds, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, yeah, Pangani girls, they used to be national champions.
Yes, yes. And I remember playing school tournaments at Kenya High, at the schools, and this was when school teams were playing. Some of the tournaments were throughout the year, but it wasn't just one-term game. So if you were in that hockey team, you would be required to pay in second term and third term the school tournaments, or travel with the team wherever they were going.
Actually, yeah, it was, that trip was something, for those who went to boarding school, you know what it means to have a school trip. It used to be one of the biggest things. So overall, the outlook, and because maybe I'd like you to just emphasize this so that people understand that it may take 10 to 12 years to achieve, to have a real harvest and have a consistent crop of elite hockey players, such that you can compete against the world. Just to re-emphasize on that, and so that people understand. We're how would I say? We're an instant coffee country.
Right. What we've started at Simba, I've told you about this, and right now the Nairobi County Hockey Association, before COVID, I think they were dissolved at certain point, but the way forward, I see Paul Omani, who's an ex-international, played in '88 Olympics. He was a goalkeeper. He's back from States as well, and he's heading the interim committee right now. And I see that is a good sign for hockey, because if Nairobi hosts about 36 teams in Nairobi County.
Yes. Wow.
36 teams.
36.
And Nairobi hockey, majority of the tournaments were run with Nairobi hockey. And if that is not working, then the clubs have no other choice and see what Kenya Hockey Union has to offer, maybe running a league and few tournaments here and there. But Nairobi hockey has to be strong and active.
Well, there you've had it. Now, let me mention another sport, cricket.
Yeah.
2003, Kenya gets to the semi-finals of the Cricket World Cup. The last time they were at the World Cup was in 2011. That was in India. But you mentioned earlier about the T20 tournament. Now Sikhin will be playing in the final.
Yes.
Against Swami Bappa. But what's the work being done around cricket now?
As we said, we have quite a number of players who are into cricket, but under the academy belt. And one of the young kids is Ashdeep, who's an upcoming. Not to forget our captain Sukhjinder Sonu and Jasraj Kundi. These are youngsters aged 20, 21, but I don't know how many, 3 or 4 generations since we last played in the World Cup, we have lost now. Cricket, it's a pity to see where we are today, and it's not long ago that we were one of the tops. What went wrong? Again, the infrastructure for the grounds, the training patterns, the major problem sometimes, yes, we need funding, but too much funding can also spoil the...
Yes, but we know that I want to avoid the politics of cricket because that is...
So too much funding also messes things up, and if we, our national bodies, if we or everyone have a passion and one target and say, okay, yeah, we are going to work for hockey or we are going to work for cricket, and without any ego or without any personal gains, we can achieve a lot. There is talent, there is a lot of talent in cricket, and cricket NPCA are doing a great job. They have an under 14s league running, under 19s league running, taking into consideration that the number of grounds we have are not as many, but they're managing all that.
The coach, I know a friend of mine known as Irongo. I've seen him coaching the kids there.
Irongo,
as they call him. What's the stories that he's giving you whenever he works with his young crop of players, some who want to be batsmen, some bowlers, others all-rounders?
Well, Coach Irungu has been with the Sikhin club for quite some time now, and he's working closely with the academy itself, and I think he was one of the coaches for the under-19s Kenya team. A very passionate person. He spends time with the kids and see where he can develop a kid, his footwork or his running style, or catching, or making things easier, and dedicates a lot of time to the kids. And this is what we need. It's not just money. It's spending time with the kids and correcting them at that early age. So when they get into a national team, the national coach doesn't have to work on the basics. He has something else to work on.
And this is where something comes in, and a lot of people need to get this conversation going, is how you coach these people under 10s, under 15s, such that you're in charge, you're firm, but at the same time understand what the developmental process is.
So the pillars of Simba Sports Academy, we have 3 pillars. It's discipline, number 1, commitment and dedication. So discipline is what is installed into under 10s. And we get some parents who can say, these guys don't listen to me at home. I don't know how you handle them. But that whistle in your mouth should be authority. So, and that's how, they respect the coaches, and at the same time the coach can pick up, okay, this kid is good in this, but the physical aspect of it, physical running, physical cross countries, and warming up and doing the exercises the right way, all that is a main focus of the academy.
Well, and for those of you who know, I mean, when he mentions cross country, if you've played a sport where speed is of essence and all that, cross country is nobody's favorite run. No one loves going for that cross country run, but it's necessary for endurance. Talk about badminton. I don't even want to talk about the politics of badminton. That's crazy in this country. But what's the progress that we're seeing here?
Badminton, Singh is currently undergoing renovations in the main hall. We should be ready by early next month. We have 4 courts. We will be getting some carpets for those courts as well, the lighting system, and try to host national and international tournaments at Singh. There is a lot of interest in younger kids for badminton. We have Coach Wahome. He's a national team player as well, and a lady as well, Agnes. And we kind of, as I said, we introduce these games to the kids, but then some kids will come and pick that up, and the coach can say, yeah, this guy can be good. So we talk to the parents and send them into that. And again, as badminton and as any other national sports bodies, we have 2 or 3 national bodies. That is, those politics have to be sorted out and get our house in order for those kids to go and represent Kenya into world championships and all that. Now you have 2 national bodies or 3 national bodies.
Actually, there are 2. There is one recognized here. There's another one recognized globally, and so it's the athlete who loses.
It is, yeah. So for me, it just shows me that these are personal egos or personal reasons for having this. But if you have the love for the game, you would sit down and resolve all this. And because you in-house fighting, now cricket, you're going to waste 2 or 3 generations. Yeah, by the time the guy is 18 and he can be a top team player, but because of your internal problems, this kid will not represent Kenya. He's turned, one day he wakes up, he's 25, he's 30 years old. We are done. Yeah. So those, the national bodies, the CS should really step into this and sort all this out if they really want Kenya sports to be up there. And we have the talent. And we have the talent. It's not that we don't have talent.
Now let's talk about this, because I remember, when was it? The run-up to the Commonwealth Games, the National Olympic Committee of Kenya had to work and get the right floor mats for the badminton athletes.
Yes.
Because we may play on wood here, but when you go out there, you find it's a totally different sport. That is number one. The indoor hall, we know badminton is a fast game. But because of the nature of the shuttlecock, it's more of a close-quarter sport. Yeah. How do you intend to make sure that this meets the proper standards as may be required by an international federation?
Well, all the badminton mats, for instance, they're there. We are investing in that, as we did with the AstroTurf for hockey. We are going to invest into another artificial turf right behind the hockey pitch, which will cater for hockey 5s as well, and some other multi-sports thing. And badminton, we are investing into that to get the mats. The lighting system is such at Simba, and the hall's big enough now where we can accommodate large numbers of spectators and or attract national or international tournaments.
The other sport that you're in is squash.
Yeah. Squash, yes. It's been nosedived again at Simba Union, but Sikh Union now we have got our courts renovated, and we have started to reintroduce the game back to the kids. It's a very powerful and a very physically demanding game. We have got a couple of our ex-players who have volunteered to come and coach the kids on Saturdays, and we see from there.
When you talk about the intensity of squash, played totally indoors, and
the ball don't go out.
It's actually more in a cage.
Yes,
with that glass and the wall.
Yeah.
How much then do you need to help a kid understand, such that even when they're playing, they know there is this line where the ball must get to.
Must it? Yeah, the coaches, the basics, how they teach them how to do the forehand and how to hit the backhand, and how to do your footwork. Because it's more, if you're not familiar with the sport, if I put you into a squash court, you will start running. And squash is not running; it's just striding, stride back, stride there, stride there, back. And again, as if international more tournaments are played, Asif Chaudhary, our ex-squash player,
yes,
he's in UK now, based in UK, but he has helped us quite a bit in getting some equipment and try to reintroduce this game again into Kenya. Yeah.
What when it comes to the equipment around squash and the number of facilities, I mean, you can actually count them. I think of Parkland Sports Club and maybe a few other places. Yeah. How much work, how much is the cost? How can you basically get to get more involved?
Well, as some other sports facilities around the country neglected, same is with squash. There are clubs where squash courts are there, but used for storage. So nothing's going on there. You might have no players playing. Instead of reintroducing that, let's not kill that sport. Machakos Golf Club has a squash court. Mombasa, Royal Nairobi Golf Club has a squash courts. Impala Club, YMCA, Securing Club on the other hand here.
I think I've also seen Pumwani.
Pumwani, yes.
Pumwani High School.
Yes,
I've seen
opposite the Pangani police station.
Yes.
Yes, they have a squash court there. It's again, as a national body, or the Nairobi County, you have to have, if the kids got to be involved, you got to have tournaments. If the tournaments are not there, you can train a kid and one day you'll just turn around and say, why do I need to train so hard? What am I training for? And at Asif, when Asif Chaudhary, I remember, I think we were sub-Saharan, we were the champions he was a champion of East and Central Africa for 4 or 5 years or something like that. Yeah.
Eventually, I mean, whenever you make these outreach to the federations, because we know there are some, when you try to set up the academies, they tell you, all right, first of all, this is the structure and they can change, some little bit of the bylaws. What are the responses that, you're getting from them? Because they really want the athletes back. But they also need to allow, some of this leeway.
To that, I would just say, if you have that passion for the kids to play that sport you loved, or you still love, then do the right thing. Keep your personal egos, personal agenda on side, and go for the game. Because it's not us, it is that youngster who is going to be playing. If we keep our own problems through and through, keep wasting time on that, we're wasting his time. He's growing up at that time.
And they say that sportsmen are, they're called what? Retire at 30. Yeah. It's quite an interesting initial. Right. Let me just come back to you, Avtar Singh Sohal, because he's done a lot. He coaches Kamusinga. That means leaving Nairobi, going to Bungoma, staying there for
months.
Can stay there for 2 months. What's the possibility of replicating this whole concept? And reaching out to other people?
As I said, there is a lot of talent. All we need to do is every county now should take up this initiative and get some good coaches and invest into that, into the kids. If Kenya has to go and represent us in 2032 or 34, we have to start now. Yeah.
Now, the other thing is calling for investment. How much support do you think is needed? Because we have to be realistic. The Kenya Volleyball Federation, I'll use that as an example, have said, out there in the world, we play indoors. Let's get used to playing indoors. Hockey, it's astro, not grass and marram.
Yeah.
If it's surfaces for, say, basketball, it's wood.
Right.
We gotta get used.
True, true. The infrastructures, yes, finances are needed, and this is where the government should step in with the national bodies. I mean, the AstroTurf, for example, at the City Park Stadium, is in pathetic condition. The government should step in and get us a carpet. If you get a new carpet there, one here, one in Mombasa, Kisumu, even if it's a half pitch, but they learn to play on that pitch. So when they come out to Nairobi and play the national tournaments and national trials, they are used to it.
Now, what about for hockey 5? Because you've mentioned it. This is basically playing on half a pitch.
Yes.
How much can be done to help grow the sport? Because I think it was at the African and I think under youth games where Kenya first played that.
Yeah. So hockey 5s is kind of a shorter version, like T20 in cricket. A shorter version of hockey, and again the ball don't go out. You play against the boards, and you can score a couple of new rules, and it's very interesting to see. I think it's a hot cake for the media as well, for TV rights and people to enjoy the game itself. It's not necessary that full ground, and it's a rolling substitution again.
This whole concept of short attention spans is crazy in sport.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
So, yeah, and we are taking that step at Sikh Union Club. We are going to invest into that. Maybe within a year or so, we will see to this and have this. If you have to have the infrastructure, and as I mentioned, just in and around Parklands here, we got 35 schools. Some private corporate companies or sponsorships, and they can come up and rental those if they don't. Schools don't have money, and at least put up the infrastructure there and make some money back or whatever. But it just gives a chance to the kids to play.
And how important is this? Hockey 5. Spoke with Kano Randi some time back when Hockey 5 was introduced. How well is it? How much can be done so that it's played more in schools? I know it works a lot, especially on your close skills.
Right. Yeah. But again, it's it could be a good addition to the school itself. But again, you need the artificial turf. So that budgets are tight on everyone, but as I said, the corporates or other multinational companies can step up here, and like we have with the Indian government, the sports exchange programs and all that, and I'm sure India can help us out here. All they need to is approached.
Oh, yes, actually, saw something last week. I think Kennedy Boyer is on the board of Cricket Kenya.
Yes.
He was in India and met the High Commissioner. How does this work? Because, for example, you've had a coach from India for about 3 months with you.
Yeah. Well, for Sikh Union Club, that was privately funded by the club and by the well-wishers of the hockey fraternity. So, but for the national teams, I think we have a trade agreement with the Indian government, and they have never shied away to support Kenya in any which way they can. And if approached rightly, I think we can benefit from that.
Well, and now, Narinder, as we get to this, how does one now reach out to you and register for whatever sport they want, whether it be cricket, badminton, squash, or hockey?
Well, one way it's straight at Sikh Union Club. We have the offices there. You could go and register there for the academy, and you'll be told the times and the dates and how we go on. And then the coaches do their first assessment on you, and then from there on we move.
I mean, you're part of the coaching. Just tell me, how you do, because you said you do this assessment. How do you do it? Because eventually, you've got the backs, you've got the forwards, you've got the half-backs.
Well, couple of things. Any sport, footwork is most important. Strength in your lower body, it's needed. So we do normal warm-ups and stretching and things like that, and see the kids, how they're running, what is their weakness. Kids have a habit, someone will just run flat-footed, put the legs on the side, and if that habit is not changed, then they might grow up to be as quick as our 100 meters champion here.
Omanyala.
Look at him, his dedication. But he's running the other way. He could be quick, but that's not the right way. So he has to be trained from that young age to lift your knees up high, and you're running in a proper proportion kind of way.
Well, quite interesting, because I know there's a coach who once said, well, once this guy gets his running straight, I think he's going to be unstoppable. The other one, how do you assess someone, and for example, you are a left winger, and decide that this guy's a good defender, this one's good offensively, the other one's a thinker somewhere in the midfield?
Well, with modern hockey nowadays, it's any forwards, it's not permanent positions that you're going to be a left wing and you just play on the left wing. Yeah, you could be running on the right, and you could be crisscrossing each other and all that. But as the game's requirements and what is hockey today, so every player has to know how to receive the ball here or receive the ball here, how to turn this way, how to turn that way, so which fits you all. Someone with the good skills and a good shot, a good eye, I would go for a forward. And someone who's really strong at the back, who tackles good, we'll take him as a defender.
Now, here comes the craziest position. And tell me how you work on these guys. A hockey goalkeeper. This person is basically
loaded.
Looks like a mascot. The weight they have is just massive. I mean, and it's increasing over the years. Right. How do you train them?
Well, as the game has evolved quite a bit, and the speed, the ball takes a shot at power and all that, so has the equipment. In our days, I remember our goalkeeper late, Mutinda, he used to have bamboo pads. Bamboo, so heavy. But these nowadays, they're foam, but they're light. They're dense, high density foam, and then they're light. And the training, it's all gone one-on-one, and it is intense for the keepers, because it's just jumping up, down, up, here, there, and they go through a rigorous training programs there.
With about 10 kgs of that.
Yeah, with the kids, you could see if a kid can kick with his left leg and the right leg, you can pick him up. This guy can use both of his legs to kick that ball. And most of the kids you'll just find kicking with the right leg or left leg. Yeah. So.
And eventually, how do you get them fit and agile?
Cross country. Cross country, running. Yeah. So cross country is something where it from our days, it's even till today. I wake up in the morning. I go for I don't run, but I do my morning walks. It's a discipline. You need to wake up early. Most of the kids nowadays, it's very hard, but slowly as we have the Tigers, now they start understanding. So every Saturday morning, we start our cross country from Sikkim Club up to Gertrude's Hospital, Muthaiga, and back, boys and girls.
Well, I'll tell you, anybody who has done cross country and when playing for a sport, that is what they hated most, unless you are an athlete. Unless you were in athletics, everyone hated cross country. And I'll just tell you a story. If you wanted the best hockey stick, you had to be quite fast.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the one you'll pick and go train with in the evening. Right. That was, it just put a lot of discipline into that. Overall, the future for Kenyan sport, the right way forward as we conclude?
As I said, the talent is all there from the grassroots levels. All we need to do is, through the national bodies and the county bodies, to invest our time and money, infrastructure, to get to the people here. And again, in any sport, discipline, discipline, discipline. And there was somebody who asked once, what does discipline mean? And it's something you hate to do. Something you hate to do, but you do it. That's discipline.
Well,
you hate to run cross country, but you run it.
That's discipline.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we had to get into that discipline. Otherwise, you'd have to pick the worst hockey stick at the gate as you are getting back to school and train with it in the evening. So you had to do it. Thank you very much, Coach Narinder Singh Channa. He is the managing director of the Simba Sports Academy based in Nairobi at the Sikh Union Club. Hockey, cricket, badminton, and squash is what they're doing. Started with 3 kids 5 years ago. Now they're over 220 all training. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
We take a short break, and when we come back, 2 more conversations. 1, Box Girls Kenya nominated for the Laureus Sport for Good Award for the 2nd time. Baradokumu is going to be linking us, giving us that link, telling their story. And we'll be talking golf this weekend. We've got the Windsor Classic. We're joined by Shimo Dube, who's captain of Windsor Golf Club, and pro golfer Riz Charania, who can tell us, all about how the pros and the amateurs work around this. After this short break.
Thank you.